These two lessons are going to help you to develop your own ethical perspective. We're going to learn from senior photojournalists and photo editors as they tell us about the important tenets of ethics in photojournalism. We live in an increasingly VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. And we need to be ready to adapt and respond to the situations that surround us according to the need of the moment. Let us hear from Mr. Dinesh Krishnan, the visual editor of The Hindu, about ethics of photojournalism. Can the cameras lie? Yes, there have been instances where the cameras have lied. Should we not be responsible to the truth of the moment and report the truth as it is? Should we objectify people? What should we do when we are faced by sensitive situations? Let's learn how to cope with all these situations as a photojournalist with the help of Mr. Dinesh Krishnan.
I'm going to say something which you're going to switch off. You're going to get very bored. Okay? Get ready. Now, this is something which bothers a lot of us as photo editors. And if you're going to go as a photographer and send your pictures in to people, to newspapers and news organizations or websites or whatever it is, anyone with some conscience is going to be bothered about these things. And one of the reasons when a complete newcomer sends in work to a photo editor or an editor, there is a bit of wariness, especially about, it's because of the fact that they don't know you. And they don't know how ethically correct you've been about certain things. Or how correct you are, this word, this line which says, a photograph can never lie. Of course it can lie. Of course it can lie. And I'll tell you how. I don't mean to say by using Photoshop kind of lying. That's completely different. I even mean to say while photographing, I can make something look like not the way it was. That is where ethics is important. Why is this important? Especially in the field that you're in photojournalism. Okay, I'm not going to be giving you this lecture if you were, for instance, a fashion photographer, and if you were commissioned by an agency to make this gadget, or make this phone, or maybe make this, sorry, but that's how it is, make a model, guy, girl, whatever, you're objectifying the person. That's how things are. Okay, and if that's what you wear, if you were in the fashion industry, I wouldn't be bothered if you take this picture of this girl and you take it back into your editing machine, and you spend maybe you shot her over 1 hour, and you spend 4 hours trying to fix things, or fix it, whether it's her or him. You'll be surprised at what the person was and what the person is at the end of a shoot. So no ethics involved there. It doesn't matter, because that's a fashion industry. If you have lines, if you have crow feet, if you have whatever, everything is taken care of. That's how it is. So I won't talk about ethics with that field. You're photojournalism. If you're going to be in photojournalism, I'm going to be bothered about what you do and whether those pictures are real in every sense of it. It's not just Photoshop. So I'll talk about Photoshop. It's an entirely different conversation. It's even, for instance, I'll tell you of an incident. Okay, a colleague of mine, he shoots for us in the Hindu. Now, he photographed, sometime in 2017. Yeah, there was this violence where girls from Srinagar came out and began to pelt stones at the cops. Okay. Because they were angry about something that happened there. There's always this unfortunate incident with Kashmir that we have. I'm not getting into the political part of it. Okay, there is always this problem where the lines are very clear, and there's always this distrust and everything that's happening there. And many of photographers I know cover it from real close. So I know, what the truth is, how it can get blurred, everything else. Now, the point I'm trying to make is, my photographer, my colleague, I don't mind, my colleague of mine, Nisar Ahmed, he was shooting this, he was shooting this demonstration which showed college girls, your age, maybe, yeah. They would be around 17, 18. They were coming out of the streets and they were really angry. Okay, now those pictures are happening. While those pictures are happening, and we used them next day morning, we used them, and then someone came back and told us later, oh no, this is all staged, this is all camera, for the camera. Really? And how do you say that? So what they are saying is because there was a picture which someone saw. Now imagine how this looks like, where here's a frame, and in the frame you have these 4 or 5 girls who have come into the frame and they're throwing stones. And now there's a photographer who is not in the trajectory of the stone. Okay, he's crouching down on his knees and he's shooting them like upward. Now the cameraman on this side is taking a picture of the girls throwing stones at cops who are far behind the cameraman. All right, I'm taking an angle like this. And the guy who's crouching below, not like right below the knees, I mean further away, 10 feet away. He's crouching below and on his knees and shooting them. The stones are not going to hit him. The stones are going to go well above him and hit the cops in the back. All right. And our photographer here has taken a picture. I mean, I don't mean the Hindu photographer. I'm talking about the picture which created the flutter. A picture which showed a photographer crouching on his knees and the women, the girls throwing stones. What did they say? Oh, they set it up. Part of the administration said the whole thing was set up by the media. That the media did it. There was no such problem with the women. And this kind of a picture was used to illustrate the point. I'll tell you why the camera was lying. If the camera had actually used a wider angle, this guy was crouching here, right? And there were these girls here. If he had taken a wider shot, you would have seen the cops here. He didn't take the camera, he didn't take the cops. So he took up a vantage point in a way that he would turn away from the cops and choose only the cameramen and the girls and take a picture. What does it look like? It looks like the girls were throwing stones at the behest of the photographer. That's a camera lying. A picture can lie. No, that's the camera lying. That's unethical. All right? That's not done. You don't do that. The girls were actually throwing stones at the cops. You can't get it for some other reason. Don't make it look like as if they were posing was set up. And if it is because you're a bad photographer, then I can understand that. What I mean to say was that you're not competent to shoot in strife. I can understand that. Your hands are shaking. You're like shaking in your knees. I can understand all of that. When there's a bomb blast going off, you're not going to be coming back with crystal clear pictures. Mind you, I can tell you that it's not going to be easy. I can understand shooting in strife cannot be easy. This is not that. This guy can shoot in strife. He's got crystal clear pictures, which means he's used to this. He chooses to take an angle. That is an issue. I'm not going to name him. That's not important. What I mean to say is, you people are going to be going out there in the field. Don't choose. Don't, leave out truth. Cameras can leave out truth. Don't ever do that. Because people are going to make decisions based on your picture. How many of you have seen Aylan Kurdi? How many of you have heard the name of Aylan Kurdi? It's a very tragic picture. If you haven't heard of Aylan Kurdi, I'm hoping that you have in your course, in your interest in photojournalism, you have read about the famous picture. The picture which was perhaps one image which changed the entire movement of Turkish immigrants to Europe. During the Syrian war, which happened during the 2015-14, that entire period when things were really, when they were being bombarded and everything else was happening, eyes was being taken to the cleaners, whatever, Let's not get into the politics of it. I'm talking about the pure photojournalism of it, okay? And there were hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people moving from Syria and that entire region into Europe. Right, from Germany to everybody had opened the doors, or maybe not opened the doors, or whatever. They were going to Greece, wherever. Boats were like stuffed with people. They were coming out of, gills. And people were falling. Many were dying in the process. They were drowning in the process, whatever. And there's this picture which came in the wires. It's a picture which shook. I've seen a lot of violence. Okay, I've seen it in real life, and I've seen it from behind a camera, and I've seen it as a photo editor more than I need perhaps for a lifetime. But that's my job. So this picture was not violent. was his picture. Maybe by now, when I said Alan Kurdi, maybe you guys have all Googled it if you haven't heard about him. Was this absolutely 3-year-old boy who was face down in a beach somewhere in Turkey, or maybe in Greece, yeah, dead. So this picture is an absolutely silent picture. I mean silent, it's very meditative. Now that's the kind of picture which kind of captures the essence of the tragedy. There's a picture from the back, step back, and there's this beach, absolutely lonely beach, and there's a little boy who's face down in the water, 3-year-old boy, dead. He drowned in that. When hundreds and hundreds of migrants were coming by, one of the many people who died, his body was washed ashore. I saw the picture of the wires and I took it to my news editor and said, this picture, please use it on page 1. So the picture came on the wires, when I mean the wires, the agencies, we have picture agencies which submit pictures, which file images, and newspapers like us and magazines like, XYZ, they all subscribe to it. And when it came on the wires and I saw this picture, which had come in from Turkey, and I knew instantly that picture is going to have, I'm not trying to take credit for a picture I didn't take, but that's my job as a photo editor, to identify it from thousands of pictures. That picture for me moved me more than any picture I've seen of violence from Turkey. So many pictures I've seen from Syria and Turkey where buildings were bombed and streets were completely washed in blood and whatnot. But this picture was more tragic than all of them put together. And I remember telling my news editor, this picture, you want to take it on page 1. This is going to be defining. And he said, man, early morning. I said, yeah, it's tragedy, but take it. So he took it to give credit to the news editor in the paper I was working with. Then I was with Hindustan Times. We carried it on page 1. And soon, not because we carried it on page 1, but soon that picture began to do the rounds. Very soon, within 3 or 4 days of it, EU, the European Union, actually began to sit down and think about what to do about the refugees. That's the power of the image. That's the power of photojournalism. That picture for me, captured the essence of the entire tragedy of the Syrian war. Now, the ethics of it is what I'm trying to tell you. And that's how we got speaking about this one. When you're covering strife, when you're covering violence, and you're covering things which are not the best, as photojournalists, you will be going with the camera to places where things are not too great. So you need to be very, very careful about the truth. Why is Alan Kurdi so important? Because it was the truth. It was the truth, double underlined. That is so truthful. That's why it shook the earth. It shook the conscience of many countries, Now, that's why it was so powerful. Now, why is that important? Why is ethics important? Like I told you, here's a moment, the other one, Srinagar moment I told you about. And when you choose to kind of take that frame, yeah, that's unethical, all right?
Photojournalists are reporters, and through their cameras, they give reports to the world that should be true to the reality. In this part, we have seen the importance of the values that guide journalism, such as objectivity and truth-telling, that should also guide us as photojournalists. We are going to continue in the next video.